Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to today's tale in this Irish History Month. Today, we are going to look at one of the most famous pieces in Ireland, and that is the Blarney Castle, which coincidentally, my family did build, but we did lose it. And as we go through the history of this wonderful castle, you'll find out how my family, Macarthys, lost it. So please sit back, smash that subscribe button, and relax and enjoy today's tale about the history of Blarney Castle. Now, about the Blarney Castle, let's just talk a bit about this right off the bat. What it is. Well, you know what? It's a castle. It's a medieval castle and stronghold of County Cork in Ireland. It is most famous for being the home of the Blarney Stone, which, according to folklore, bestows the gift of flattery and eloquence on those who kiss the stone. An interesting side note, Cormac Macarthy allowed the King of England at the time to kiss the Blarney Stone when it was being built, gave the king eloquence. That's how part of the folklore got started. And as well with that, the king bestowed on the Macarthy and all descendants the ability of the male descendants to wear hats in front of the royalty without getting any repercussions. Because you know it's a faux pas to go in front of royalty for males to be wearing their hats. So let's get into the history. Blarney Castle is believed to date back to around 1200, when a stone fortification was first built on the site. Of course, this was destroyed in 1446 and then rebuilt by Cormac Macarthy, King of Munster, shortly afterwards. Legend has it that prior to this, 4,000 Munster men were sent to help Robert the Bruce fight the English in the Battle of Bannockburn in 1314 in repayment. The Stone of Scone was split in half and sent to Blarney Castle in gratitude, where it was incorporated into the battlements. The castle was, of course, besieged later and captured by the English parliamentarian forces in about 1646, although it was later restored to the new Earl of Canterbury, Donald Macarthy. However, Blarney Castle was confiscated from the fourth Earl by William of Orange, and the castle proceeded to change hands multiple times after that. It was eventually purchased by the Governor of Cork, Sir James St. John Jeffreys, in 1688. Jeffreys built a family mansion nearby to keep the ruined castle, and their descendants still own the site today. So unfortunately, because of that, the Macarthys don't own it anymore. It's these Jeffreys that own it. In Irish, Blarney Castle is called Castlín na Bramman, and it's a medieval stronghold, as was told. The castle, however, does date back to before 1200, when a timber house believed to have been built on the site. Because it's wood and, rain, unfortunately, no evidence of this remains because of weathering and all that. So around 1210, that is when it was replaced by the fortification of the castle. During the Willamette War in Ireland in 1690s, this is when the Macarthys lost the castle. It was captured, and all the lands, including the castle, were confiscated by the Willametites. And that's when it changed hands. The castle is an excellent example of a tower house, which were buildings designed to house the families of the wealthy landowners. And if you know anything about the Macarthys, we go back to one of the four original tribes of Ireland. The castle, which probably looks bigger than it is because of the location on top of a cliff, has 5 stories. The bottom 2 stories have walls which are at least 12 feet thick. The higher you go up the castle, the walls get thinner and the rooms get bigger. Close to the castle lies a garden with many rock formations like a Druid Circle, Witch's Cave, and the Wishing Steps. There's also a newer mansion in the park called Blarney House, which was built by the owners now in about 1874. Now let's look at the stone. At the top of the castle lies a stone of eloquence, or the Blarney Stone, as it's usually called. It is called this because, as legend would have it, if you kiss the Blarney Stone, it gives you the gift of eloquence or the gift of gab. The origin of this custom is not certain, although it possibly comes from about the 16th century. Then Cormac Macarthy made promises to deliver his castle to the crown. However, he continued to delay in doing so with his soft talk and idle promises. This became known as talking Blarney. On the ground, it also produces and has a poison garden. And what that is, it has numerous poisonous plants, including wolfsbane, mandrake, rection, and opium, as well as cannabis. Let's look at the Blarney Castle today. Most visitors to the castle go for, well, of course, the Blarney Stone, which has helped make it one of Ireland's most popular tourist attractions. There's a variety of myths and legends about its origin. The association with the name Blarney with the so-called gift of the gab was first made by Queen Elizabeth I out of frustration at Lord Blarney's ability to talk a lot without saying much. To kiss the stone, you have to lean backwards over a long drop, best not to think about the germs on there, or, the long drop to the bottom. The castle is a bit of a stretch. Remnants of the castle are the 16th century tower, which definitely is worth visiting, and the gardens, of course, the Poisonous Garden and the Druid Circle. Getting to it, however, it's in the village of Blarney, and it's roughly 8 kilometers northwest of the city of Cork. And the journey takes about 15 minutes by car. The village and castle lie just off of N20 from Dublin, and the journey takes 3 to 4 hours, depending on traffic. The 2:15 bus from Cork runs to Blarney Village regularly, and package day trips from Dublin and Cork are also readily available. The nearest train station is in Cork. Let's take a look at, let's start off with the Witch's Kitchen. In the enchanted grounds of Rock Close, in the castle grounds, in the fabulous lands of the Blarney Castle, is the infamous kitchen of the Blarney Witch. Archaeologically, it is believed they have been prehistoric dwelling, potentially as old as the Neolithic. So basically, it's been around for about 3,000 to 5,000 years old. If there's any connection of it to Rock Close, Blarney Castle, or the Druid's Cave and Circle, atop her wishing steps is her kitchen. It has a chimney and a fireplace within. The witch's kitchen is offset from the kitchen is her stone. Apparently by legend, she is bound and entrapped in the rock in servitude to bestow wishes upon those who walk up and down backwards the wishing steps, while thinking only of their wishes and not letting any other thoughts drift in. In exchange, the Blarney Guardians provide her firewood for this very kitchen, so she continue her spellcraft and crazy brews while staying warm at night. For when darkness falls, she is magically released from the stone she is trapped within. Some say if you arrive early enough, you can still see the dying embers of the fire. As she lights a fire every night, many believe that this was the Blarney Witch who really told Macarthy about the power of the Blarney Stone, while others claim it was her who enchanted the stone as a thank you to Macarthy for saving her from drowning in the river. No one knows exactly how she was trapped in the rock. The Echo Ghost Hunters investigated this area in about 2010 to 2011 and claimed very strong EMPs were recorded in the area of the witch's kitchen. Not much is known of this glade except that fairies are very rumored and recorded and filtered around the foliage. Now, of course, this is more or less Victorian image of a small insect fairies resembling tiny human-shaped beings with wings, better known to people that actually know as pixies, rather than the habit of human form shaped fae or fairies, or she, like elves and dryads, nymphs, faun, trolls, orcs, and various other hundreds of beings known as she. It is a beautiful little garden section with a ring around walking. A new addition, it was a wood-carved stump chair and druid's rays on it. Little altars and offerings abound throughout the glade. Since the fairies cannot prove to exist, neither does any sound history or archaeological on this place, being that it was most dreamt up by, the castle ground owners in the early 1800s, when they landscaped and created the rock close around the prehistoric dwellings. They were believed to have been utilized by the Druids and early Irish Celtic people. Now, the Druid's Cave. It's said to once have been the home of a religious hermit who was fed and cared for by the Jeffreys family, and it may have been sheltered by many others throughout the century. A lot of the trees around the castle and the Druid's Cave are yew trees. For hundreds of years, the Blarney witch has taken up the firewood from our estate for her kitchen. This is why walking up and down the stairs gives you those. Many historians of Irish history will tell you that the Witch's Cave is the home of the very first Irish cave dwellers. So remember, next time you're in Ireland, definitely go see Blarney Castle, visit the Poison Garden, and leave an offering. She